the Republic, the true Republic, 9/11 Truth Fighters. You got all types of organizations, mostly run by white people, but they make some sense. We're not going to spend our way out of this deficit. You can go back to the Great Depression, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but the deficit wasn't that big then. And he used money to create wealth. He built roads, schools, dams, infrastructures, factories. All we doing is printing out money for the bankers. But for African people, this is a good book. Baron Shango, African People and European Holidays. Now it don't just go about African history, it goes about European history. And it talks about the banks. The Federal Reserve is almost built off like the Bank of England. You had some private investors that started the Bank of England along with the king. But the English king people put in the real money. The rest of them fools lent themselves the money. They never put a dime in their money. But the Bank of England lends money to the country, which is called United Kingdom. And they can lend all the money to all the kings of England all the way up to the end of the monarchy, almost. Because they still have a monarchy, but most of the powers of the prime minister, by taxing the people. The Bank of England will lend them money because they know they can directly tax the people. Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve can lend the United States all the money because they can raise interest rates on the loans. It's a hidden tax. They can raise interest rates, they can lower interest rate, and which creates inflation. Every time we pay a loan right back to the Federal Reserve. Whether it's your car loan, your house note, credit card, all that money comes from the Federal Reserve. That's why you got Federal Reserve notes. It don't even say $1. Read this book, he talks a little bit about the Bank of England. African People and European Holidays by Baron Shango. One of the reasons why African people got to stick together and why we don't, if you read, you'll find all the answers you ever need. It will take away all the anger in your heart to more positive solutions. Kenneth Stamp, the peculiar institution. Peculiar institution, that's what they called slaves back then. He said there were 5 key things they had to do to keep you in bondage. Number 1, make you stand in fear. They burnt slaves, they castrated black men, they hung them, they beat them, they tore them apart. When I mean by tearing them apart, they would put, there's a torture called a 4 horsemen. They would tie your limbs to 4 horses. And once all your limbs were tied up to 4 horses, they would make the horses run in different directions, thus killing you by tearing you up limb from limb. And they would show that to all the other slaves to keep them in line. You gotta make people stand in fear. And that's what happened in black community. We got a lot of fear. And we still got fear because you got Regina 6, you got Avenue Ruina, Diallo, and this latest incident where the guy was on his wedding night and he got shot up 50 times and didn't have a gun. And then you got the bar incidents. Oh yeah, the slave masters hired a group of white people called patrollers, and all their job was to go around different plantations and make sure no slave was off the plantation without a pass. Sound like your police today, whether they black or white. And I'm not criticizing all the police, but they act the same. Number 4 was make the slaves believe in their own inferiority. Inferiority. That's why you got substandard education. That's why you see brothers that say they can't read, they can't go to school, but yet they can run a dope house, count money, do inventory. Sound like an entrepreneur to me, but they just doing it the wrong way. They can build a whole house from scratch, but they can't take the journeyman test. This is some brothers that believe that they cannot lift themselves up. And that's what they did in slavery. Another thing is the standing in awe of other people, of their power. You hear a constant phrase say, well, we can do this, let's organize. We don't have to let the powers that be take over our neighborhood like they want to take over Cobo in Detroit. What do you hear from most people? Oh man, they're going to do whatever they want to do. Oh man, well, we can't stop them. That's recognizing their power. And that was one of the codes to keep you enslaved. Make the slaves be in awe of your power. Another code, which back then they couldn't really force a lot of slaves to do, because a lot of slaves wouldn't sell out. But now we sell out each other left and right today. I mean, you got your Clarence Thomas, you got your Condoleezza Rice. In Detroit, you still got the Cottrell and his stepmama. You got Freeman Hendricks, Dennis Archer. I know some people don't like it, but that's just my feelings. But the code was get the slaves to join in an institution. You had black slaves that was enslaved not to white people, but to black folks. You had slaves that would go and tell the white overseer whenever there was a slave revolt. If you read the history of Denmark, Vesey, it's perfectly understandable. And he wasn't betrayed by house slaves, he was betrayed also by free slaves. Because one of the rewards of, if you turn in somebody who was planning to do a slave revolt, you gain freedom. A story called Harper's Ferry with John Brown. John Brown had killed a black man because he was going to tell the white folks what they was going to do. John Brown wanted to go in and get the armory for more guns to free more people. Another thing that keeps us in bondage back then as well as now is get the slaves to be dependent. You got your welfare system today. I know a lot of people don't like it, but welfare really destroyed the black community. If a woman has a black man in the house, they cut her benefits. Black man don't make no money hardly if he doesn't have an education. That goes back to your inferiority. He doesn't have the economic means, or if he has an education, but there's no job. So who's the man? The state. The state buys the food, which is, now they used to call it food stamps. Now you got your, whatever they call this, food stamp credit card. The state buys the appliances with vouchers and a car with vouchers. The state gives the mama the money to pay the bills. So what that does to the black family unit? It destroys it. So a woman can go up to you if you don't have the proper means of support of that woman and tell you